Derek, how do you get in here without having to get permission? Do you have an account? Oh, he's on mute. I think if you have a Zoom account, you can start the meetings, which is fine by me, but still interesting. Let me see who's here. All right, so of course, first, does anyone have any questions or comments or want to show in progress for their websites?
I have a problem happening online. It's not letting me like do the submissions and stuff.
Okay.
And I tried like I copied the whole code you did on the video and I tried to run it and it still gives me an error. It doesn't let me submit stuff.
All right, let's see it.
Okay. Okay, so let me run the other one. So this is your code.
Perfect as usual. Yep.
Okay,
oh,
so
yeah.
So like if I run it, okay, and
I thought you said it was going to break. That's why I said that, and it didn't break yet. Okay, so let's look at the error and then we'll look at the code. Okay, so on the code, so which route was it going to?
I just have it like set to the default one.
Okay, well, the form, it seems to send to add assignment, right? That's its action. So on your code, the route add assignment. Okay, I see method equal post. So look at the HTML. Method post add assignment. Sounds good. So back on the Python, it says method. Yeah, so what's interesting to me is the browser sent a GET request, and you can tell not only because the browser address bar shows the data, but the what you just minimized, it said it was a GET, you know, so the browser is doing a GET, but your HTML file seems to say that it shouldn't do a GET. Are you?
Yeah, I have that same problem happens on my code as well, and I have it all as posts, but when I submit something, it just shows it up here, even though it's a post.
So go back to the page you submitted and like refresh, I guess. Let's just make sure it really is. View the source now, right click on the page and view source. Do it elsewhere, yeah. That says post. Oh, man, freaking HTML. You put methods, plural, and that just is ignored. Methods post on the form. It's just not the right word. And so it's like, whatever, man. And
so
it defaults to get.
Message?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I was saying in the last class, for those who are in that class, HTML or browsers are super forgiving. It's like, I'll just ignore that when in fact it's an error. refresh. Yeah, I guess you have to run that again.
It's actually kind of annoying.
That HTML is,
It just ignores things that are wrong.
yeah, there was an attempt way back in the day, 90s, to not let, I mean, the first HTML5 or HTML4, actually, they tried to make it constrained. So you have to do it correctly. And that just didn't take off. There's just too many tools out there that people use to make websites, like Word, for example, that don't do it perfectly. So it just never got anywhere. Okay.
It's technically working now because it says post. The only thing is I think I did something else that's wrong, so it's giving me this, but it shows me the input I had. It shows it to me here.
Yeah, that's good. So you have return okay. Why did it print? Oh, printed the request form. Okay. I guess it doesn't like okay. What if you return redirect parentheses quote slash? So it'll go back to the front page. Parentheses quote slash. And redirect is function you're gonna have to import from Flask. So up at the top, add redirect. Weird. $400. What kind of error is that?
The error that it's giving is immutable multidict, which is
Oh, well, no,
means,
that's the request form that she printed though.
right. But I don't see anywhere in the code where that would happen, because that means that like a key in the dictionary isn't something that is hashable, I think, because I had that error recently.
Interesting. But that line of code that follows is so straightforward. I don't see how that could be a problem. Because I don't think she's trying to change the dictionary, which is request form. This is actually kind of interesting. 400 means bad request.
Are her keys not incorrect in the Python script?
Oh yeah. Okay, that's good. I think you found it. Before we fix it, let's do something where we can actually hopefully get an error message. So on line 17 in your code, that's really the only line that could possibly have an issue. And Derek's right, the issue's there. But before we fix it, put a line above it, try colon. So do like a try catch basically, and then indent the assignments append. Leave the same line, and then they don't call it catch in Python, it's except. So do except colon, actually except, and we want to print the exception. So except space capital exception, because that's the type, like the class name. Check the spelling of that. Yeah. And then you have to say as, space as, and then choose a variable name like e, lowercase e, colon, and then you can print e, just to get some sort of message at least. And now by being a try catch, basically, if it fails, it'll still do the return redirect, which probably is good for the user. Yeah, so it did redirect, but then there should be a message browser, or no. Still didn't give.
Give the bad request.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell us anything. Browser sent a request it couldn't understand. Maybe that's what it interprets. It seems weird, but
Maybe it
so
doesn't throw error.
yeah,
right?
so I guess so. Derek saw that request form bracket name. Technically, you've called it in your form assignment name with capital N. Your input box in the form was labeled differently.
Okay.
Yeah, name equal assignment name.
Wait.
I think it's a good name. I just copy the whole.
Oh, so
Yeah, it's good that it's specific assignment name. So I would just leave it like that. But you have to use that word in the other file. Yeah, because name is probably too simple of a word.
can't spell.
So I think Dalton's right that when those keys were wrong, instead of it saying this key's not known as an exception, Flask caught that and just said the browser was wrong. It wasn't your code. The browser sent something I don't understand,
Mm.
but that doesn't really help. So kind of a curious decision.
Okay, yeah, now it's adding stuff.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for showing. Anyone else want to debug?
Oh, I also wanted to ask, how do I make the name like a hyperlink, like the name of the assignment?
So you have it in a list, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the template, yeah. When you print that part at the LI area,
Mm-hmm.
around the bracket business, put a HTML A tag. So it's bracket A. So like right after the LI, not after, but like right inside. So after the first part of the LI, all the way to the left when the LI starts. Bracket A, href equal quote, and then I guess you'll use the name. You might want to actually make IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the names can get long and tricky. But so what format do you want? Slash?
Because like for the web page, how I had it was I wanted to send it to like an edit page
Okay.
where they can change the information and then send it back to home.
Okay, so you have to just decide what that address is going to look like. Is it slash edit? Is it slash?
Okay, because I had like something like that here, but I have to fix that.
Yeah. So let's just call it slash edit. So go back to the new one and put slash edit and then slash again. Because now this, after the second slash, you need to actually give the name of the assignment so that Python knows which one you're trying to edit. But here's where you got to throw in those double braces again, because you're trying to use a variable here. Otherwise, it'll always say assignment name. So you want to use the variable like you have just to the right, assignment bracket name. Yeah, it'll be the same thing as you have there. and then close those, and then close the quote and close the bracket. Yeah. And then move the close A, move it after the name before the colon, or you can link the whole line. It's up to you.
Okay. So if it's just to link the name, it would be right here.
Yep.
Okay.
Now go left. There's a small mistake. You have assignment name, bracket name. It should just be assignment name. Or sorry, assignment bracket name. It's hard to say these things. Yeah, get rid of the extra word. And you have one extra squiggle brace on the left. Okay. So that should replace, in the quotes, it should replace the actual value.
Okay. Let me see if it'll run.
Yep. So you can make a route for that. And you could grab the name from the address as a parameter, and then you can go look up in your dictionary.
The route would look like this, right? The
No, it would look,
edit.html.
no, it's called /edit/ and then I have an example of the video that you'll want to look at because it's not going to be a post anymore. In there, you have other kinds of brackets. So I suggest you just fast forward the video to find the part where I make a link, because that's all you're doing right now. The code you're showing me right now looks like the post part. So you might want to like copy this code and have a part that just shows the form. It's a regular GET request, like I have in the video. And then the second part would be the actual edit, like submitting the edit.
Okay, and that's the Python video, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the Flask intro or something like that.
Okay. All right.
Flask form. Yeah, Flask intro, and then I think submitting the form is Flask forms. Okay, thanks. All right. So chime in if you have something else to show. Otherwise, I'm going to show you how to do Amazon stuff from the command line, and if we get to it from Python.
I don't have bug help that I need, but I want to know the proper way to implement Markdown.
Okay, let's look at that real quick. Yeah, Markdown would be a nice feature. Did you install a package called Markdown?
I did.
Okay.
So I've got it so that, where am I? I've got it so that it takes the text from a note that is made and then converts it into whatever it is that it needs to be. And then it converts it into the HTML, but the problem is that it just shows the HTML, and I wanted to render the HTML.
Yes, that is a feature of the templates. They're trying to protect you against cross-site scripting.
Okay.
So go back to your code real fast. One thing I see on the add note action, it's converting. So it takes your body from the form and converts it and puts it in the dictionary. The problem with that is if you go to edit, you're going to look at a bunch of HTML. So it's best to save what they typed exactly and only turn it to Markdown or turn it to HTML when the page is shown.
Okay.
So I would just use body as is and move the Markdown translation part to the view note. And I wonder if we can do it in the template actually. And then likewise in the edit, you just leave the body as is. Okay, so if you go to your template code, I guess it's on the left, on note body, let's see in the braces if we can run markdown.markdown in the squiggle braces. So it executes as Python. Okay.
No, Markdown is
doesn't.
undefined.
Do we have to import here? Let me see. These templates are called Jinja templates, by the way, for whatever reason. Bunch of junk. I don't feel like doing it that way. It seems tedious. So I think what you can do instead, yeah, leave it, maybe call it note HTML. Let's just do that. You'll save both versions. Save it at the time of edit, save it at the time of adding it, and just call it HTML instead of body. You know, so there's like a duplicate data. One is the body that they typed and the second is the HTML.
Okay.
At least that actually has the advantage in a big application that you wouldn't be converting every time you go to the web page.
Right.
Yeah, so make a second key. And then we still have the issue of HTML in the template, so we'll talk about that. So do the second key and then I'll look up how to do
Okay.
the HTML. Put a comma after that body line. And in the add, yeah, add the HTML. Flask extension markdown, Matt says. Interesting. Let's look at what that is. So Matt, about the markdown Flask extension. I don't know yet, by just looking at it quickly. Does it assume all the text coming from your templates markdown, or can you just do it for some?
I'm not entirely sure about that specifically, but it did work fine if I had a mix of regular text and markdown.
Okay, and by regular text, you mean HTML?
Not even HTML per se. I didn't try that, just plain text.
Okay, interesting.
But it'll parse the markdown if it finds markdown is what I found.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, one thing about markdown, by the way, is it's defined such that if you do mix in regular HTML, it handles that fine, like it ignores it. So my point is on the Flask markdown extension, it looks like you say, okay, my app is a Flask app, has this name, and then I want to make markdown apply to that application. And so, oh, okay, when you render the template, you could say certain, oh, that's cool. Okay, I see. So I'll explain it.
Yeah, on the template side, you can choose what you want to, yeah.
Okay, that's good. So we'll finish this and then I'll show you that real fast. That's a good find. So on the left side, the note body, presumably you'll change that to HTML now. on the template. So let's see what happens there. We still have that issue of how it shows, but just to make sure this works. Okay, so back to the original issue. So I didn't really help you do anything. That is simple. Go to your template, and in the braces after the no HTML business, after brackets, put a vertical bar and say the word safe, meaning it's trusted.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was the one fix, you know, bar safe. But the other stuff we changed was to allow the user to edit the original markdown format. So that's still good. But then what Matt showed is you can actually now go back and delete don't do it, but let me actually share and I'll show you what he's talking about. So you do a pip install and then you import it, and around your app, you say it's a markdown app. And that's all fine. You pass in, this would be like your body or your note, you know, as usual. Nothing's really happening here. But then what you do, instead of safe, you just say bar markdown, and it will convert on the fly. Or if you got a big section with a bunch of variables, you can like start a whole section called markdown and close it off.
Okay, and how does that do it differently than what we just did? Like, what benefit does that provide?
I think just simplicity of code. I think it's actually not a good idea ultimately, since it would have to convert every time a page gets loaded, whereas in your case, it's converted ahead of time. So since the user's not going to edit notes like, you know, repeatedly every second or whatever, it's probably best to pre-compute the markdown format. Now, it doesn't take much time, obviously, to compute markdown, but still, that is a difference.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for everyone's comments as well. So for AWS, so here we are, log in. And this kind of helps me figure out how we're going to grade things when you're doing stuff in the cloud, because I'm not going to get into your account, obviously. So it'll be hard to kind of tell what you've done, but we can, I can ask you to either use the command line tool, or maybe we'll actually get into writing code, like Python code that uses the AWS infrastructure, and you can print things out, or you can keep a log of what the command line tool showed you, and that can prove that you've done things correctly. Because otherwise you're like taking screenshots and stuff, and then it's just a bunch of work. But we can sort of automate it. I can look at a transcript of what you've done on the console. So at least somebody should follow along, because I can't be sure that you're able to do this, but try this out. On AWS, first go to IM. You need to make an account or like a token for yourself that allows you to use the command line interface. So go to users, and I just made one, for example. Users, add user. Give yourself a name. What you want is programmatic access. This will let you get to it from the command line tool or Python or other code, because it will give you 2 keys. A lot of apps use this. Twitter uses this. What else do people develop for? Maybe Discord. Twitch uses this. You get a pair of keys, and the secret key, obviously, you don't want anyone to see. You don't want anyone to see it either, what I would think. Permissions, in this particular case, probably going to want admins. So let me know if you're not able to see this like if there's some difference in your account. Tags, don't need any tags. Review. So I'm in the admins group. Here's my username. Create user. And then it gives you these two things. You'll click show to see the secret access key. And, or yeah, secret key, and here's the other key. So then what you need to do is install the Python library. Not the Python, sorry, just the CLI library. We'll do Python second if we have time. This you should all do because this can be a way that we turn things in. So I want to know if you have any issues with this naturally before we really commit to that approach, but try to do it now if you can. So just Google Amazon CLI or go to AWS amazon.com/CLI. And there's various packages to install. So go with whichever one you need. And the first thing we're going to do is configure. So let me know if you're able to get to a step where you can run this command.
I'm getting an explicit deny on IAM create access key.
What
and
kind
I
of
can't
deny?
even delete it.
What kind of deny did you say?
Oh, and it says not authorized with an explicit deny.
Explicit denied. So you go to IAM, you go to users, you go to add. Does it stop at the last step?
Yeah, the last step. It said it's created the user, but with errors, and then it gives that error.
If you go to list your users, is it there?
Yeah.
Huh. So, but did you not get a key?
No.
Hmm. This is the question. Unable to get a key. Do not have IAM access. Oh, you have to go to this other place. Okay, so that's the AWS Educate platform. What was my... Do you have access to this thing?
Not that I know of.
I'm pretty sure behind the scenes, that's what Educate's using. What if you go to your awseducate.com? There might be a key in there. Yeah, so when I go to the classroom, I get to this other platform, Vocorium. What can I do? If you go to, are you sure you don't have an account here?
I guess, yeah, it looks like that's where it takes me. But I don't necessarily see that page that you're on.
Yeah, I think I have a different page because I see all the students.
Yeah.
What do you see? And they were saying on Stack Overflow, go to the blue button, account details.
Oh, actually, yeah, if you click on account details, it gives you a CLI credential right there.
Nice. All right, so can everyone do that? So say the process again, you went to labs dot, is that right?
I just went to, or just search for AWS Educate and go to the login page for that. And then
Probably,
after you log in and go to your classroom,
okay.
yeah, the sign in on that page right there.
Okay, so everyone do that plus get, where was it? The package that you need for your system at this address. So I should make some notes to review this in the video. Has anyone been able to install this?
I was able to install it, but I'm still trying to figure out how to do the permissions.
Okay, so ignore the whole thing I was doing. And are you able, Marshall, can you share your screen so we can see like how you log into this?
Oh, this thing.
Or anyone else? I mean, I don't know if you got a bunch of stuff on your screen, but
This?
sure. Okay,
Um,
account details button.
yeah, when I just go over to my classroom, if you hit, once you slide into educate, you just click go to my classroom, and then whatever this is pops up and it says continue.
Yeah,
And then it redirects you through the
Yeah.
sign in page automatically to here.
and then click account details button. So then you'd go to, how did I get here? The reference. Here it is, CLI reference. And these are all the services that are available to you. So basically everything that was on here, maybe not everything, I haven't checked, but most of these things you can control through the command line. So we've seen EC2 and IM, but IM's not as interesting. EC2 here. And then you can see all the commands you can run on EC2. So what that means is you say AWS EC2 space and so forth. And one thing that might be fun is run instances. Run instances. So that's how you launch instances. So I'm curious if this works with the key you found on your own account. Should work. So you say run instances. There's some stuff you got to provide. That's actually not clear to me the way it's documented what you have to provide, but you don't have to provide all these things, obviously. Things you do need, image ID. So you need to say what the Amazon AMI is. So to get a list of those, let's pretend we're going to make one. This is the first step here. Oh, that's fun. Failed to load. Okay, you would grab this AMI ID whichever one you want to run. So I'll just use that one. Image ID, and then instance type. This is where you would say one of these things, T2 micro, for example. Then subnet ID. So if you go actually, this is found in the VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Where's VPC? VPC networking. So some of these things you have to hunt around for, but go to your subnets, and this is just the public one. So you grab this, or you can pretend to create a new instance and then stop at the moment where it says which subnet do you want, and then copy the ID like we did before. Subnet ID. You also need the group, security group. Is it plural? Security group IDs. I guess I'll use that. And then you got to go find back in EC2 security group, which was that firewall. So I want to use this one that has HTTP available. I'm going to grab this. And then the only other thing you need this is actually a good thing to start with, dry run. Just kind of make sure it could work, but you haven't actually done it yet. And then lastly, count. How many do you want? Start 3. Yeah, I like how it's an error. It's like, it would have worked, but now there's an error because you didn't want to do it. So take off the dry run. But I assume dry run means it checks that all these things actually exist. So there's no typo there. All right, so when you configure AWS CLI, it says, what format do you want the results to always come in? And I said JSON, so I get a JSON output. It's just showing me the full configuration. So things I didn't specify, like architecture, network interfaces, root device, all those things were assumed. And you get a list of 3 large objects here, because I started 3. And that's the kind of thing, not exactly that, but you know, that output could be something you turn in to show like, yes, I did it. If we come back over here, we should see that they're there. 3 are running. So that's one, that's one action, but I don't want to make you start 100 of them just to get the correct output for a homework. So you could also use describe instances if they've already been started. And do I need to give anything? Not really. So now, same info basically, plus anything else that I already started before. A whole bunch of stuff. You can save it to a file, or, we can do various things with that output. And there's ways actually to filter to specific instances. And there's other, like, all kinds of filters, which we're not going to need because we're not going to have 100 instances, but those are what the options are for. So we'll use more of this. Actually, this is a good tool for pretty much the rest of the semester, because then I don't have to monitor how you click through things, make sure you're doing it right. I can have you run a command and it will dump all the data about what you've set up. And then I'll show you, I guess, next time. You could do it in Python too. Like, you can literally do this all in loops and do stuff with the user and whatever, programmatically create instances and change instances and whatever you got to do. Any questions?
This seems kind of dangerous if you mess up.
Oh yeah. Makes it
create instances in a loop.
Yeah. Well, again, there is that limit, 10 or 20, I don't remember. But indeed, yeah, that's just the way it is. At least you'd only lose your $50. It's not even real money. So, but it's a good point, because part of this class is our whole goal is to automate stuff, even like machines. That is cloud computing. So people are not very often clicking through the interface, especially when you have to make tens or hundreds. It is programmatic. So we should learn how to do that. Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick question. I added you on my repo in Bitbucket. I think it automatically sends you an email notification. Do you need any other info, or do we need to submit anything on Blackboard for the assignment?
No, let me make sure I got access to yours. I saw the email, but I didn't look at the access. Some other people have shared theirs as well, so that's working fine. Yours. Yeah, I see it. So you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so for everyone, your web app, just somehow give me a link to your Git repo wherever you've kept it. I think I would like it if it's not. Oh, the video. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't worked on the Git page yet, but once I set it up, I'll send you the email and the invite email.
Yeah, and just make sure that the commit shows it was done in time, even if you
Okay.
get around to the email tomorrow or something.
Okay.
All right. I'll see you all on Wednesday.
Do you have a bit of time
Sure.
after class? I have a quick question about a homework involving like code and stuff.
Yeah, get me on Discord so it's not on the video.
All right.